She'll tell us in a second. All right. And there it is. Okay, cool. All right, so thanks everybody for joining us. We are going to review the first game announcer tool, and we're going to do that by example. Got a few people on the line. We're going to be your proxies for asking questions on your behalf. So hopefully we'll have, well, I don't know. I hope there's no questions, but if there are questions, that's okay too. Because if there's no questions, I did my job really well. And if there aren't questions, or if there are questions, that's okay too. So, all right, I'm going to switch over to our panel. Now, to get to Game Announcer Tool, it's gatool.org. Type that into any browser on a tablet or a mobile device. That works just fine. The tablet is better, I'll tell you, than a phone. We're thinking about how to make it a better mobile experience, but because there's so many tables, it makes it a little bit challenging to fit everything on a tiny screen. So that's in the plan. When we first start up, you'll see there's a lot of red on the top, and it's asking you to select an event before you see anything here. Oh, give me a second. I'm going to turn on, let's see. I want to turn on my highlighter here. I've got a tool to help me with that.
Are you sharing your screen right now?
Not yet.
Okay.
There we go. So I will be in a second, and I'm going to share my screen. Share screen. There we go. You might have your login info now, Josh, because I think I sent it out like 10 minutes ago.
Let me check.
You're going to be at Rhode Island?
I'm going to be at Monterey Bay Regional.
Yeah, I sent it out like 10 minutes ago. So you should see an email from GA Tool or GA Tool at jameslockman.com. Maybe. If not, I'll send it again. It's a MailChimp email, so it might be in your check this later folder.
I don't have anything just yet that showed up.
All right. Afterwards. We'll make sure that we get that done for you. Okay. But I know that I set it up, and I know that I sent it just moments ago. All right. So back to here, and I'm sorry I wasn't sharing before. This is the first game announcer tool. gatool.org is the URL. Go to visit that. You'll be asked to log in, and you'll be logging in through Auth0. Folks who have gotten the welcome invitation, and Josh will get you yours shortly, will be advised to actually, you could go to Auth0 now because I've provisioned you. So you could go to log in, and you'll be asked to reset your password. So in that login screen, it will say reset password. Just go and do that, and then you'll be able to log right in. Right? So you don't have to do anything other than that. The first thing you want to do is pick a year, and in the year picker, we'll go here. We've put in a number of years to kind of look at different models. Just know that in this version of the tool, prior years playoffs aren't really supported. We're focusing on the current year and forward, and First has told us they're committed to the double elimination playoff. So start with 2023. You can pick an event. All of the registered events are here. And as we get into the off season, more of them will show up. If you want to filter by a time frame, you can do that here. So let's say we look at week 1, for instance, and then this will, now this will only be week 1 events up here. We also have here by district. Now, at the moment, today, right now, we're not going to see the filters working. This is a known issue at First. They are trying to get it resolved before the weekend. We'll find out. So while the district event filters may not function, you can pick regional or off-season events or first champs. Those do work.
List isn't that long, so that's not that big a crisis.
It's not that bad. And then, of course, you can just type an event. So if I type practice, this is new this year, we have 4 practice events. And we're going to focus on the practice events because they have different phases of a tournament, and you can use those to get acclimated with the tool. Phase number 1 is an event that is halfway through the qualification matches. Event phase 2 is we have completed the qualification matches and therefore we're ready for alliance selection. Phase 3 is halfway through the playoffs, and then phase 4 is everything is done. So we're going to start with practice event phase 1 to get a sense of what is going on here. So when we pick it, it will load up everything we need in order to start calling matches. You can see there's a whole bunch of technical detail on the front page here, and they relate to the number of teams, when the event starts, when it ends. Do we have updates to the various schedules and so on, and those will be there. There are some settings that we'll come back to that are here in the first 2 columns. And in fact, the 3rd column, we really only care about the time zone or the time format. You can set it to 12 or 24-hour time format, and then you can choose how many years you want to show for awards. I'm going to leave it at 3 right now, but that's a setting that folks will adjust as they go along through the season. Right now, at the beginning of the season, teams don't have awards, so it's nice to have a few years to look back on. As we get later in the season, they'll have accumulated awards, particularly in district events, and so you might want to cut that back to 2 or 1. You can also enable and disable various visual features here with the switches. What we're looking at right now is the default settings for the game announcer tool. It's going to show the sponsors on the announce screen, show the awards on the announce screen. It's going to show the notes. There's a notes field that shows up on announce and play-by-play. There's another one that just shows up on the team screen that we'll see in a minute. There's team mottos that will show up there. And then these down here are about if, for instance, you're at a district champs event or at first champs, you can turn the statistics on that are related to district championship performance and then world championship performance. So those will appear separately, but only in those events. This is something that we have disabled. We've noticed just through analytics that folks are doing that, where they're turning off the quals statistics during playoffs. And so we're doing that by default. You can turn them on if you want. And then this setting exists if we are doing an event that is easier if red and blue are swapped on the play-by-play screens. We've had a couple of games in the past where most of the action is opposite to where the teams line up, and so it makes some sense to swap it. So that's there for you as well. All right, let's go take a look at some of the screens. From left to right, we have setup, and we're on there now. We're going to go to schedule next. So as you load it, you might want to first check the schedule, because this will tell you when the matches are starting. So you can see scheduled for these events because they haven't played yet in this practice system. And then you can see these actually happen. So there's a difference between actual timing and then when they're scheduled. So you get a sense of that. You can see the scores here and the teams. So the red and blue alliances, if we don't have a score, then there are no bolds and no scores are reporting. If we do have scores, then the winning alliance will bold in that column. And we don't have playoff matches scheduled, so down at the bottom, you don't see the playoff schedule that would appear there. And that if you go to phase 3, then you will have playoff schedule there. Looking at the teams, next thing is teams. So the teams table from top to bottom is all the teams in the event. And in this practice event, you'll see that we have a number of 999 teams. These are post-season or off-season demo teams. You can't do any damage with those. So feel free to play around with those. Do not mess with any of the other teams here because they are real teams and you will affect the data that other game announcers will see if you push them to the cloud. So if you're going to make changes and then actually make changes and commit them, then do that with these demo teams down here. The teams table is not comprehensive. There's much more information that we know about each team. And to view that, what you need to do is to tap on a team number. Before we do that, this table is sortable. So if you want to sort by team name, you can tap on that, sort by the city, sort by sponsor. Like a sponsors doesn't sort. Rookie year will sort. Robot name doesn't sort, I guess not. So rank will definitely sort. And the team number, of course, will sort. So you can see those in there. To visit a team's, like to see a team's details, we'll go and do this with one of the off-season teams down here. Just tap on the number. And this will pop up a form, and the buttons are all at the bottom. In the previous version, these were all the way at the bottom. You had to scroll. But know that there's stuff under the form, so under the buttons. So you will need to scroll to get to see the full form. All of this information is coming, is either provided by First directly, or is something that is coming from another game announcer. So let's say we change the name of the team to the Ipswich Lions, right? And you see it turns green. When you make a change to any of these form elements, they will light up green to let you know that you've made a change. We'll give the robot a name. We'll call it Main EAC. And then the team motto is roaring into the future. I'm making this up as you can imagine. All right. So these items will appear in various places in the UI. City, state. If you know that you want to pronounce the team number, maybe they go by, this one, remember, is 9996. So we can say 99996. All right, that's going to be the way that you say it. So you can say that. This number here is if a team has not competed with First for a period of time. So I know that my team 172, there were 2 years way back in the 90s that they didn't play the game. And so we deduct 2 from their number of seasons competing with First, even though they started in 96. We take 2 off of that when we talk. So you can ask the teams, and this is a great tool you can use to go and discuss with the teams to get data from them in the pits. Hey, were there any years where you didn't compete? It's rare that you're going to find a team like that now that isn't a really old team. Most of the teams have been consistently competing. However, with COVID, there are a number of teams who didn't compete in that COVID year. There's no penalty for that, of course, but would want to know that. So if you do happen to pick that up as you walk the pits, go ahead and enter that in there. These notes only appear on the announce screen, and then these notes will appear on the team data screen. So when we close this, I'm going to add a note here. Say note, oops, I should type properly for data, team data screen. So that's going to show up on the team data screen is what it's going to do. It will be nowhere else. Now, the top sponsors, this is the sponsor list that's going to show up in our announce screen. And so talk with the teams, make sure that it's the right list of sponsors. We try to limit it to 5. This is automatically calculated. You can see that this full list down here, this is the entire list of sponsors that the team has provided. We automatically cut that down to 5. However, the team may say, wait a minute, no, Tedford's Hardware, this is the most important one. So we have to make sure that's there. You can copy and paste out of here and then replace, I don't know, New England Biolabs. Okay. All right. Any questions about this, about filling in the data on this form? Oh, I'll give you one more thing. This is kind of fun. These notes fields right here, they do support rich text formatting. So you can bold and italic. You can put in emojis, those kinds of things. You can't make the Yeah, you can't make the text bigger or smaller, but at least you can get some highlighting there.
We
If you
we
get, Mhm.
we have a couple of teams where their sponsors are very difficult to pronounce names, and to be able to highlight or spell
Yep,
phonetically in these fields is wonderful.
you absolutely can. So go for it. That's pretty awesome that you got that there. On an iPad, if you use that, or on an Android device, there will be, like, this will show up. Like, if you right click on it, you can do style matching. If you have formatted HTML content from somewhere else, so if you've got like a Word document that you want to format HTML and make it wacky, you could paste it in here and it will display. It's hard to do, but you can do it. Bill Alcoin, he does it. So have fun with that.
Very good.
All right. Anyway, so here we are. We've got our changes. We can see them now on the screen, and we have some choices to make. We can, the big green button, of course, is submit changes and upload to gatool Cloud. That's the normal thing that you would do. You've talked to the team, you've validated their information, you will submit the changes and upload to gatool Cloud. And what that will do is guarantee that this team's data is current for everyone else who starts up the game announcer tool. Because the first thing it does is download the team data from the cloud. It's the first thing it does. So I'm not going to do that right now. Okay. But what I am going to do is to submit the changes, but keep them local. And what that's going to do is keep record of all the changes that I've made locally that haven't yet been put up to gatool Cloud, and then I can go and upload them later if I want to. I'm going to end up discarding them for this exercise because I don't want to push the stuff up there. You can, if you want to use, again, you can write data up to those off-season demo teams. It won't hurt anybody. It'll be just fine to do that.
And when you say locally, you mean the machine you're on.
On this machine, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. It will not go anywhere else, but that's okay. We have a thing for that. But again, the normal behavior would be you meet a real team, you talk to them, you get information from them, and then you would submit those changes and upload to gatool Cloud. If you have more than one person working, which we often do, then in the pits, you can start at either end of the pit. So somebody starts up in the 9,000, somebody starts up with team 21, and you work your way toward each other. And every time you meet a team, you just submit the changes and upload to gatool Cloud. So what you will do is you will make the updates for the bottom half of the roster, and then your partner, she will be making changes for the upper half of the roster. And then when you meet in the middle, each of you will now have completed half the task. So remember what we just did. We'll go and fetch the changes in a second. All right. You can make them local. That's okay. Again, we want you to submit the changes to the cloud, but for now, we're going to do local just for this exercise. You can close without saving changes. And if you do, what's going to happen? Everything you've just typed will be lost. We don't like that one. And then you can also hit this close button here or the escape key, and that will take you out. Reset visit times. This has to do with every time you make a change that you submit. So if you submit the change and keep it local, or you submit and upload to gatool Cloud, we're going to record that we did that. And we'll show you in a second what that looks like. So I'm going to now submit the changes and keep them local. It says we've done that. Now you'll see right here, the number has turned green, and it says a few seconds ago something happened. This is how you keep track of whether you have made changes or whether you visited a team. As you meet each team, when you go and visit them, caution, we'll say dry floor now. And then we'll say submit changes. And even if I don't make any changes, I can still submit. And it's going to record that I was there. This is how I know that I've met a team and that I have data from the team. Does that make sense? So that's what that's for. And as we go along, oh, you'll see it's keeping track of time. It just now it's become a minute ago. And as we go along, these will get longer. You can reset the visit times here or reset the visit time here. This will now reset my visit. So you see where it's gone now. Why it says I haven't been there, even though we have been there, but took it away. And the change is still there, right? Dry floor, used to say wet floor, now it's dry floor. So that just means, oh, maybe I didn't visit them, I'm going to reset it. And then you can reset all the visit times at once with this button here, and that will clear it. So this is, again, to try and keep track of who you visited. Ideally, if you're working with a partner and you're working from the bottom and she's working from the top, you'll work your way towards the middle. You'll each will have a, like bingo green all the way down to the middle or all the way up to the middle. Compare, make sure you're there. And then you can go back to the setup page. Each of you can update the team data. So if you've uploaded your stuff to the cloud, you see there's a new button here, says upload to cloud. It's because I have local changes and I can upload them now. So let's say you're working in a place where you don't have a great internet connection. You can walk the pits, save them locally, go over to a window, and then upload them to the cloud, which I'll do. So they've been sent up. There's the teams whose data was there. So if you go and refresh, if you are at home and you've been following along, you could open up practice event phase 1, and actually it may not work. Update may not work because of the way we've written the practice event. So you probably won't see it. Anyway, update now, what that will do is it will go and fetch anything that's in the cloud and bring it to you. If you've been updating your data and sending to the cloud, then all of your changes are there. When you update, it will bring the changes back to you, which are the same. So if I update now, it will now go and fetch it, and I'll get a notice to tell me that has in fact worked. A lot of stuff with teams, and this is, we spend a lot of time in the teams table at the beginning of the event. So if you're at a regional, then that day before when the teams are loading in, and in the morning when the practice matches are going on, it's a great opportunity to meet the teams. Now, some folks, we'll go back to the teams table now. Some folks like to produce an info sheet. And if you tap on this button right here, it will pull down a Word document that has all of the teams in it. It will all the information that we know about the teams with the updates, and you can print it as double-sided sheets and then hand them out in the pits. So walk the pits and leave one with everybody. It says, hi, I'm your game announcer. We'll try that right now. So you're about to download this. Type in your name as the game announcer. Right? And then we'll download the info sheets. There they are. And oh, it's going to open Word. But while that's happening in the background, we'll talk about the other two things. Oh, no, it looks like it's going to open Word. Come on, you. All right, we'll bring it over. Here it is. And this is what we get. So it says, here's the name of the event, the year, the name of the event. Team 58 is the first one in here. It's got your name right on it, which is pretty cool. It's got all the information we know about the team filled in. And if you print it, then it will automatically populate. It'll just, you print it double-sided, and the team can write on these areas as well. So a lot of game announcers like to print these sheets, bring them to events, and then put them out at the team's pits. And then you have to know that they're going to bring them back to you at the scoring table. So you've got to be ready to take them and then compare with the data that you've collected. All right. So again, every team in the event has a sheet. We've done that for you, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just ready to go. All right. This one here will download all of the team information to Excel. It will also download the schedule, and it's in one Excel document, and go ahead and test that on your own. But what you'll get is all the data that we know about a team, what you can see and what you can't see right now. So all the information from first and all of the information that's been provided by the game announcers and MCs that have been collecting data are in that table. So it's a pretty big table. And then again, the second sheet in that document is the the schedule. So it's useful information to have. I have been known to pull that down at the beginning of an event. So I know I have the data if something goes wrong. And then over here, I can restore team data. So if I download my team data as Excel, I can edit the fields that are called local. And then if I upload them, they will become the data that is edited and is local. And the reason that we do that is I can make all my adjustments on one machine. I can download the sheet and then on another machine, upload the sheet. So if I have lousy bandwidth and I can't go and get the team data on multiple devices, or maybe I have no bandwidth and I have it on one, then I can at least download to Excel, do the sneaker net from one machine to another, one device to another, and then upload it into that device. So that's what these two things are for. So download the table, upload the table. Download the table, make changes, upload the table. That's what that's for. All right, we spent a ton of time on teams. Everybody ready to go and take a look at the event? All right, so first thing is the ranks table. We don't spend a lot of time in here, but it is important as you get near the end of the event. The ranks table will update every time you advance. So as you move to the next match in the event, the ranks table will update, and the teams, of course, will be moving up and down during the course of the event. We're displaying the rank point average if they've won, lost, or tied as we go through the event, as well as how many matches are played. And this information is important when we get to the end, because we have to make sure that we have accurate data for the alliance selection. So when we get to alliance selection, you'll see there's a request to compare the ranks that you see in this table with the ranking report that you can get from the scorekeeper. So ask the scorekeeper when the event is over and they've recorded the last match, can you please print a ranking report? And then you can compare it to make sure that your ranking report aligns with what you see here. That's critically important because when you get into alliance selection, you have to make sure that the teams are in the right ranking order so that when they get called up, they're in the right place that we expect them to be. So that's ranks. All right.
So if you can remind me real quick, James, at an event, the MC is going to have the list of rankings on a sheet of paper that he got from the scorekeeper, correct? So our job is to sit here and eyeball this and check.
They will. Yep, but you will want a second copy. They'll usually the scorekeeper will print a bunch because they need one for the wrangler who's out fetching the teams that are lined up at one side of the field or wherever they are. And then the MC, of course, is going to have one. You would likely have one. Again, it's more for comparison. What we're seeing more and more is that the MCs are carrying the game announcer tool with them to do the alliance selection. And we'll show you why when we get there. All right, so let's say the matches are going to start. The first thing that we do is we announce the teams. So your Master of Ceremonies, Mistress of Ceremonies, MC, is going to walk out onto the field and is going to call the numbers for each of the teams. And they will do it in this order, top to bottom. So they start with we've arranged this so that it aligns with the alliance stations on the field. They will start with this one, which is closest to you on the right, and they will end with this one that is closest to you on the left. That's what they will do. They should do. Now, will they mix things up? They might. So be paying attention to what the MC has to say. So they'll call out, team number 246. And then you will say, from Boston University Academy in Boston, Massachusetts, the Lobsterbots, or sponsored by the Boeing Company, the Bayer Fund, the Gene Haas Foundation, and Boston University, the Lobsterbots, or with their robot lobster from Boston University Academy, it's the Lobsterbots. See the pattern there? There's a lot of information that you can use to mix it up during the course of the day to highlight different aspects of the team, so that we're not always saying from Boston University Academy in Boston, Massachusetts, lobster bots. By the time you hear that like 11 times, it's kind of dull. And so you can use the information here to make that a little spicier. For teams that have won awards, of course, they're showing up as well. You see this one, Andromeda 1. These guys are great. They have a lot of hardware in their place. Awards that are what we call major awards, they are in green. So for this team, you'll see they won a district chairman's award. They also won Dean's List finalist there, which is great. They were a finalist at WPI in 2022, and they also have a chairman's award from North Shore. This team is an original and sustaining team, 157. So these guys have been around forever. What else can we say? Oh, we'll see some other things that will pop up there. So teams that have won worlds will show up there as well. And you'll be able to see that they have, that in 2011, they won world championship. You'll see that there. You'll see the team number, the year they were founded, and what season they're in. Remember, I talked about that number before. That you could put in there. So my team 172, if we squeak ahead, I think we're in here somewhere. Get there. Well, I'm clicking the next match button. There it is, 172. And it says 26th season, even though they were founded in 1996. You get their motto right here. In my case, Think Pink. The robot name is there. And that's about it on the screen. The rank is displayed. This will obviously be blank for the first match, but as you go along, these will adjust. And I'm seeing an error. This should be highlighted. Number 3 should be highlighted. We'll have to fix that. Any other questions about any questions about the announce screen before I talk a little bit more about what's on here?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have teams that have listed so many awards that it drives the other teams off the screen. Is that is there some way of limiting that, or is that just
there sure is, and that's an awesome question. Right here on the setup screen, for how many years should we display awards on the announce screen? I can go 3, 2, or 1. Let's say I go to 2. What that will do now, if I go back to announce, you'll see there's fewer, because now I don't have the prior year. And what we talked about this earlier, before we started the recording. When you've got when you've got the beginning of the season, the first 2 or 3 weeks, you don't have award. And we'll want to. Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Am I still sharing?
We lost you for a second.
Cool.
Yep, you're
Yeah,
back.
you were
Am I back?
for a bit. You're
All
back.
right, good.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
All right. We'll see if Chrome died. Nope, we're back. Okay, cool. All right, so the number of awards is going to increase as you move through the current season. So if you switch it to 1, then you can, over on setup, then you'll only see the current. Now there'll be nothing there because nobody's won anything. But if you want to completely hide that, you can do that, because you can disable awards on the announce screen right here. And a lot of folks will do that too. They'll say, we've talked about awards enough. We're into the playoffs. We're going to shut it off, or we're only going to talk about it in the playoffs. So you can turn them on and off. And that will just reduce the amount of clutter on the page. All right, other things on this page. Your match time is up here. This is the projected match time when you haven't played. When it has played, it's the actual match time, and it has a clock. This is a real-time clock. So this thing is the 7:43. That is the time right now here in Maine. And as you're going along, it will tell you. Oh, sorry about that. The actual match time, and if you get past, there's a selector here. When we get to an event that hasn't played, like Qual 11, in this practice match, is practice event. It says there's a scheduled match time. You can see that there. Now, the reason this is red is because the scheduled match time, we haven't played it in enough time. It wants you to be within 10 minutes of the scheduled time, and that is not happening. So we have to fix it. You know, it's going to try to hurry you along. So watch the color as you're starting a match. You can see that color. It's red, goldish, and green. We like it to be green if we can keep it green and keep on time. So that's what that's telling you there. As I said, we have a drop down. If it's green, the match has happened. If it's white, the match has not happened. So you'll be able to see that on the schedule. You can advance to the next match and to the prior match by using the right and left arrow keys on your keyboard. So right arrow key, left arrow key, they will take you to prior matches. This works on announce, the play-by-play screen, and also on the MC number screen. They all work there. So that's all the stuff that's on here. Oh yeah, event high score. This will tell you a rolling high score as you're going through the event. This, of course, will change as you crank along. And up to this point in the event, which is halfway through this practice event, the high score was 87 in qualification number 8, and these are the 3 teams that were in that match. Now we'll switch to play-by-play. Now you can go through the tabs by tapping on them, or you can go shift right arrow will take you to the next tab. You could use the right and left carets, so also the comma and the period keys will get you there, and J and K will get you there too. So I'm going to type the period key. I'm going to the next screen. I'm going to type the comma, go to the previous screen, right? So you can kind of scroll around the 2 screens. Nice little keyboard bit there. All right, play-by-play. After we have announced the teams, then we're getting ready for play-by-play. And you'll notice the orientation's a little bit different now. This is supposed to align with the way, if you are at the scoring table, looking at the field, the red alliance is on the right, the blue alliance is on the left. They're in this order lined up in the driver stations. So as you're looking, particularly near the end game, you're going to look to the right. The red team is there. You've got their numbers. You've got some details about the team on the screen. Look to the left, you've got the blue alliance, and you're seeing them there too. And they'll be scoring. There's a lot of scoring activity right on either side. So you'll be looking at the numbers, looking at the teams. You've got their details right in front of you. In addition to the name, the robot name, the number, the sponsor, and the town they're from, you also get match or event statistics on this screen. And these will appear in quals. They do not appear in playoffs unless you want them to. So that's, you got to go back to setup and turn it on if you want them to show up in the playoffs. You know what rank they are. You know what their rank point average is. That's important as you're getting to the end of the match, and they're going to tell you, and here comes the final scores up on the big screen. Oh, it looks like the Lobster Bots have won. They're going to get 2 rank points out of that. That's going to jack their average up by whatever. And look, they're going to go from rank 24 to rank 5 on the strength of those 2 rank points that they just got in this match. Well done, Lobster Bots. So you can use that. Also know the whether they have won, lost, or tied matches. So that's also reported here as well. And what their high score was. So the Lobster Bots, their high score was 47 points up to this point in the event. So at up through completing qualification 10, that is the situation. So that takes us to all we can do with this practice event phase number 1.
I got a quick question.
Yep, go ahead. Sure.
So this screen, if I understood you correctly, this as soon as the match is over and the scorekeeper has submitted it, this screen will update immediately, so you can announce how they've advanced because of that match.
Yeah. that is a great question. This will not change until you advance to the next match.
Okay.
So what you can do, the way that they present the scores on the scoreboard is you'll see each team and then their new rank as a result of the match. Right? So you can see that on the board. 246 goes from, I knew they were number 24. I'm probably not going to call out a rank 24 team. But Quark's here at number 9. Aha, that's a one that we care about because a number 9 team, if they win, they could move up to number 8. That could be good for them. And these guys are ranked number 1. If they lose, maybe they get knocked out of the number 1 position. So I'm going to pay attention to that and talk about it. So I'll typically say at the end of a match, this 3 rank points for the Blue Alliance has been great. Everybody's going to draft up on the strength of the Quarks, who go from number 9 to number 5 with those 2 rank points. Over there on the Red Alliance side, Wyndham Windup, they used to be at number 1, and the fact that they only picked up 1 rank point isn't strong enough for Wyndham Windup to hold on to the number 1 position. They'll drop down to number 4. That would be a typical end for me at the end of the match. So now that we've done that, if you go to the next match, it's been posted by the scorekeeper, the system will pick up that new match, the new rankings, it will show that it's completed, all that information will come in. So if you were to say, go to the next match, and let's say we had changes, we don't have changes because this isn't a real event. And if we went back to match number 11, we would see that everybody's rank would have changed. Cool. So let's go. We're going to now flash forward to practice event phase number 2. And phase number 2 is when we have completed all of the qualification matches. Now, you see that alliance selection has now become green. It has become green because we have completed all the matches in the event. See, matches played is 4. This particular event had only 4 matches per team. So we know that everybody has played all of their matches. If we look at the schedule, all the matches are complete and we have scores for all of the matches. So we know that the event is done. The ranks are up to date. As I said, we have the matches have been played. So the system believes that we are ready for alliance selection. After the end of the last match, you will have to refresh. So if you are, let's say we go all the way to the last match, right? We called match number 20. It's not done yet, right? We don't know that the last match has been played. The system doesn't know, like the Game Announce tool doesn't know that. So alliance selection will be red at this point. If you try to go to the next match, nothing will happen because there's no other match. If you go to the previous match, it will go and fetch the ranks. It will fetch the scores. It will fetch everything else. The alternative is to go back to setup and refresh the schedule. That will go and grab everything about the event and load it up. Then alliance selection will turn green because we will have picked up all the rest of the details we didn't have from the last match. So here's alliance selection. Now this is a small event. There are only 30 teams. If you were looking at a regional event, you might have 40, 50, 60 teams at the regional, and this pink area will be quite a bit bigger. I'm hitting restart, nothing's that great. So alliance selection is one of the curious artifacts of FIRST. It involves teams in rank order selecting other teams to join them to play in the playoffs. There will be 24 teams that will be chosen to go into the playoffs, unless you are at first champs, when there will be 32 teams that will be chosen to go into the playoffs. Those 24 teams start in this configuration where the top ranked alliance is here. all the way down to the number 8 alliance, which is here. Number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 in rank are here. Everybody who's available to be picked is over here. So all of these teams are here. All the alliance captains, except for the first one, are also over here. So you can focus all your attention on the pink boxes if you want. That is okay. You need to be listening carefully to the MC, because the MC is going to walk out. They're going to have the teams, these 8 alliance captains on the field. They're going to start with alliance captain number 1. They're going to announce the team. Actually, they'll start with number 8 and they'll announce the teams on the field. So our number 8 alliance captain from team 4905, and then you say team 4905, Andromeda 1 from Ayer Shirley Regional High School in Ayer, Massachusetts. You've now completed your task. And at this point, you're just announcing the alliance. That's what the blue button is for. You can hit the escape key. You can click anywhere else on the screen. It will clear this. So you're not choosing them to join the alliance. We're simply announcing them. And we go down the list. Team 4041, Iron Tigers from Gardner Area High School in Gardner, Maine. Alliance announce. 66, Chop Shop. So you work your way all the way up to number 1. Tap on number 1. Wyndham Windup is from Wyndham Robotics, Wyndham, Maine. Now, you're not going to read this. This is advice to you that says that they're the top-seeded alliance, and so they can't be picked by anybody else. So if you tap on them, they're not going to be, you can't do anything with them. They're just there. All right. So then you go through the alliance selection. The MC will ask alliance number 1, who do you want to play with you? And they say, we would like to invite team 4041. So you tap on 4041. You say, you've already told everybody, you can say, they're the Iron Tigers. They all know who they are. Do they accept? Do they decline? These are the choices. Let's say that they accept. You have to confirm. Did they really accept? Yes or no? Yes, they did. Now, watch over here. So 4041 we just picked, 4905, and then there's a team under here, and I should have paid attention to that. But anyway, we're going to accept it. So 4905 has moved up to number 7. 4041 has moved over here. 4041 has disappeared from here. 2423 has come from the top of this over to here. Right? So we've done the record keeping for you. Now the MC is going to say, this means, because they picked Alliance 7 captain, everybody moves up and a new captain shows up for Alliance 8. Who is that? It's team 2423. And you say it's the Quarks from Watertown High School in Watertown, Massachusetts. And we're announcing them at this point, so we just tuck that away. Now 78 is going to ask for somebody. Oh, let's ask for 1768. We'll pull them right off the top. And 1768 is taking a gamble. They've decided that they're going to decline. And they're going to decline because they hope to be an alliance captain over here. So they're going to decline. Uh-oh, everything turns red, right? This is scary. They really want to decline the offer from Alliance 2. Do they really want to do this? Yes? Yes, they do. Okay. Now they are ineligible. See, they turn red. That means they can't be picked. If you try to pick them, it's going to say, sorry, they've declined the offer. No good. This is very useful for the teams on the field, and that's why the MC will carry this tool, because they can show them, oh yeah, they've already declined, so they're unavailable. Now, the game graphic that's up on the field will also tell them. But this is
James, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
The MC on the field has his hands busy because he's working all the teams at this point. So if you are making these adjustments on your copy, his copy changes in near real time?
No, their copy does not change. That's a great question. This is a convenience tool for the MCs, for the game announcers and MCs. That's it. This has no real impact on anything.
All right. So if somebody calls out a team name or team number
Mhm.
that's already been selected into some place, we
Yep.
probably want to get on the microphone and say, already in alliance too, such and such and so.
No, you could say that. Yeah, absolutely. That's typical, right?
Yeah.
So if you try to pick them, guess what? I'm tapping on it, but nothing happens. They
Right.
can't be picked. They're already there.
Well, but the point being that, you know, you end up with 24 teams here, all getting selected into slots, so it gets difficult to remember who's gone and who is not. And if
Well, that's
they're
why
picking and
this
they're
is
all looking
important,
around, it's handy.
right?
Yeah.
So the
So
MCs will
we see
often
that as a
carry
game plan.
this, right? They'll be
Yeah, but
tapping on
they
these
aren't going to see
screens
the
at the
red
same
here.
time. Say
Okay.
again?
So well, that's what I was asking. So at that point, they have to use the tool and move
They
things
do.
the exact same way that
Absolutely.
you are.
Yep.
Okay. So none of this data is synced anywhere.
Nope.
Okay.
And that's intentional.
Okay.
There's on the big board, so on the scoreboard, there's a different graphic than this that is on the scoreboard. And it helps the teams to see who's available. It also shows
Right.
the alliances and who's on each alliance. So it does have that as well, so they can see it. It's just in a different format.
And that is the scorekeeper filling that in?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the official reference. Whatever's on the big board is the official reference. And we do this as a
Question?
convenience because it's easier to get to, and it also includes things like the name of the team.
Right.
I have a question.
Yep.
What if a mistake is made? Is there a way of backing up?
So let's do that, shall we? So
You're fired.
yeah, that's right. You're out. So they
No more
actually
volunteering.
asked for team 9995. That's what they asked for, but we tapped 4905 and we got all the way through this and oh crap, we made a mistake. Guess what? I can undo. I have an undo button. And I can go back. I can go back. I can go all the way back to the beginning if I want. Yeah, we got you covered. If you go back too far, though, you got to be careful because then you get, I'm just randomly picking teams now. I want to go back to my decline there. I got that there because what will happen is, let's say 166 now gets picked. The declined team has now gotten their wish, which is to become an alliance captain. So now it shows them up there. Right. You keep going. Oh, you can't come because you've already been picked. And we'll just grab them out of the bin here. Random people. This is not, what I'm doing has no impact on the actual event. Remember, this is just for the purpose of the ceremony. And we're getting close to the end. Got to scroll a little bit. This gets pretty tall. I'm thinking about ways to do it differently, but when you get to a huge event with lots and lots of teams, it gets to be super crowded on here. All right. So now we finished it. That means no more picking. Because we're done. We have all the slots filled. Yay. We can go off and everybody will be good. The teams will have their meeting with the lead referee. And that will be that. Now, when you get to the end, you'll see there are backup alliances here. In our new model, we have to have, I don't know, at a minimum one, maybe more backup alliances or backup for the alliances. So they'll be instructed or they'll be asked by the head referee, are you willing to stay warm to come into the tournament if necessary? Because in this new double elimination format, it is possible and it is likely that one or more teams may call up another team to join the alliance. They become an alliance member. They are not a replacement team. This is a big change from prior years. Because in prior years, if you brought up a replacement, they were now like they played for you for the rest of the tournament and you were out. Now I can call up a backup and that backup can be like taken out. Like if I'm number one and I have to go and do some maintenance, I can call up another team to play on my behalf for one match and then I can go back in again and finish the tournament. And that's just how it is. All right, so we're at the end of alliance selection. We know we can undo. We can also restart. If you restart, it will put everything all the way back to the way it was. There it is, back to the beginning. There's a filter. It's the last thing on alliance selection. So if you're at the keyboard and you want to type a number and you're listening and you want to say 58, when it's narrowed down to 1, you can hit enter and it will go through the process of picking the teams and go accept them. So if I type 17, right, there's 4 teams that are 17. So I'm not exactly there yet. 172, there's one team that matches 172. So it will pick that one if I select them. Even though there were 2 other teams that were there, it's going to pick the one match if there is a match, and that will light up as you go. So you can use the keyboard for that. And then this is the last thing. This will go and fetch the ranks. So it doesn't do anything right now because the ranks are all built into this event. But in a normal situation, if you want to just tap this once or twice, this big bar, then that just gives you some assurance that you have the right ranks. But again, we want you to check the ranks tab right here with the printout that you're going to get from the scorekeeper. Ready to go to playoffs? Here we go. So let's switch to practice event phase 3. And this is mid playoffs is where this is. So you see now the alliance selection tab says playoffs. It doesn't say alliance selection anymore. It's playoffs. And here's our glorious playoff bracket. And I have my screen shrunk, so I don't have it at full like Monster Glory. But this does fit very nicely on an iPad on its side. It will fit, if you shrink the size of the browser screen, it will fit to the width. This is our new playoff bracket system. This will start with the top alliances over here in round 1. As they play the matches and they fill in scores, you will know the winner by their gold dot, and then they will move over wherever they're supposed to go, wherever the winner ends up. So in this case, Alliance 1 has moved over here. Alliance 8 will move down in the top of this bracket. We haven't put in lines to show where this guy will go. We think that is visually a little distracting, but we may put him in there. We'll find out. We have another guide for you there as to what will happen with the teams in any given match. So as you go along, what will happen is this match will take place. This will update. So Alliance 1 will show up here. Alliance 8 will show up here. You'll do this match. Alliance 4 will show up here. Alliance 5 will show up here, and so on. So this will populate as the matches progress during the course of the day, which is fun. If we go and take a look at the, we haven't seen the MC numbers yet, so we'll go there in a second. Let's go back to the announce screen. So if we go ahead into the playoffs, you can see we've added the playoffs now to our dropdown. We'll go to the first match. As we scroll to the bottom, we have a new section here. It says the winner of this match is going to go to match number 7 in round 2. The losing alliance, that's the words we want to use, are going to move to match 5 in round 2. So this is the upper bracket. This is the lower bracket. And you'll start to know that as you do this tournament. You'll know what's upper and what's lower. So you know you're in the upper bracket now. It's the first match. Therefore, the winner will remain in the upper bracket. The loser is going to go down into the lower bracket. Makes some sense. If we go to the next match, we can see the slightly different guidance at the bottom. The winner goes to match 7, which actually, no, there's the same guidance for this particular match because it's the first 2. The third match here, now we're going to go to different positions. So 8 and 6, same here, 8 and 6. So now I'm in match number 4. If I go to play-by-play, you can see we get that closer to the top. You see we've taken away the statistics. Those are gone now. You can get them back. There's a switch on the setup page where you can turn them back on if you want them, but we're turning them off so that you can focus on the teams. Their ranking doesn't matter anymore, so we're not showing that. We do know the event high score, so that is still there, and that will remain there. And one of the things that we didn't talk about yet is, and I'm going to go back here to the qualification match number 19. We have a thing called the MC numbers. If you tap on that, it tells you what match you're on. That's useful because the MCs often will ask you, hey, what match is this? And you can show them your iPad. This is the match we're on. Okay, great. Then they know that. If we go to the playoffs, so we will use our arrow key now. Now we're in the playoffs. I just clicked ahead 2 matches. We are in the first match. Alliance 1 is red. Alliance 8 is blue. The winner goes to match 7 in the upper bracket. Loser goes down to lower bracket, match number 5. Go to this one here is the next match. All right, 4 is on 5. Winner goes to 7. Loser goes to 5. This is now 2 and 7. This is now 3 and 6. We have now completed the first round. And in this practice event, the second round is populated, right? So now we can go to the second round. And it tells you, hey, Alliance 8 is here in this match. They lost the first match because I start in the lower bracket. These guys lost their first match, right? That's the one that they lost. The winner is going to stay in the lower bracket and advance to match 10, but the losing alliance will be eliminated for this particular match. And as you go through the playoff tournament, you'll see these numbers are going to explain what will happen next, which is useful for the MC. Right, so we'll go to the next one. So how they did it. So there you go. So that's the playoffs. As you go through the playoffs, one other thing might happen, and that would be that a team may request a backup, request one of the teams that are in the backup. So let's do that. It's this purple button here. It only exists in the playoffs. So if you tap it, it says, who am I going to replace? Now, this was set before we understood that we're not actually replacing a team. We're adding a team to the alliance. That's what's going on. But I'm going to leave this like this because I think that in off-season events, they may go to replacements. We're not sure how the off-season is going to work. And we don't know if we're going to keep this idea of promotion. We'll see. So we're going to stick with the backup language, at least for this. Let's say that the red alliance is going to call somebody up and it's 58 is going out. These are the teams by rank. So the next available team, according to rank, is 501. They're right there. Now, let's say that they've told the referees, we can't play. Then you can go to the next one, 9997. But these are the ones that should be available and ready to play. So we'll pick 501. Yep, we're going to replace team 58 with 501. Yes, please. And you see what happened here? We just added 501 to the bottom of the list because technically all 4 teams are on this alliance now. And what you'll see going through the rest of the playoffs is that all 4 teams will be on the screen, both on the play-by-play screen and also on the announce screen. So you can see there's 4 teams now here. What will happen after this substitution, you'll notice that these guys don't have anything about Alliance 7, Round 3 or anything. They're just there. The next time we see this alliance, assuming they win, they will be indicated as the Round 3 selection on this on the announce page. So you will only have 3 teams on the field. You have to pay attention because the teams, they can't put 4 of them out there, right? They can only put 3, so there'll be 3 in the alliance station. So let's say that you have 58, 501, and 1153 that are out in the alliance stations. You have to remember you didn't call the captain 1768, so the MC won't know that because the MC is looking at the numbers on the alliance stations. And so you have to pay attention and say, and filling out the alliance, team 1768, Neshoba Robotics from Bolton, Massachusetts. Does that make sense? So you got to pay attention to the MC. This order will be different on, like, in the alliance stations will not follow this order, or don't expect it to. So you got to pay close attention to where they are and who's announcing what. You'll see there's only 3 teams on the announce screen for blue because we didn't do a substitution. We could do a substitution on this screen as well. So let's say we're going to do a blue substitution. We clearly can't pick 501 because they've been called up already. So now we have substitutions all around. And then if we go to play-by-play, we have somebody on both sides. So they'll follow all the way through the tournament. Now, this is not sticky. What I just did is not sticky because it's up to the scorekeeper to take that change, put it into the field management system. When the match is complete, that will then post the change up to the cloud, and then we'll know it the next time around that we see the team. Okay. So that's why we have the substitution. This way we can put it in, we know it's there, and then we can have the team there for that match. I know that's goofy. Any other questions about substitutions and how that's working? All right. A couple more things to look at here. We talked about the MC numbers. We have our statistics page. And the statistics page is looking at 2 things. It's looking at world high scores. These update every 10 or 15 minutes or so on our back end. And we're scanning every event that's been played up to that point and every match that's been played up to that point and trying to find the high scores. And that happens again, happens in the cloud. On the right is your event. It's looking at every match that's been played in the event, and it's pulling out matches that are notable or the highest scoring matches with particular conditions. The first of these is no penalties. So we like high scoring matches with no penalties. The top column for quals and playoffs is that same thing over here. The second one is if there's offsetting penalties. So let's say they each got a tech foul, 12 points given to the other side. They offset each other, so there's no advantage to having those penalty points, and we'll display that. The last one is when you add in those penalty points and you get a high scoring match. So right now, the world high score at the Israel District event from just this morning is 151. So that's the world high score today, 151 points scored in the Israel event. Over the course of the season and over the course of the day at your event, these world high scores will very likely change, and the events at which they happen will also adjust during the course of the day. So every 10 or 15 minutes or so, we're getting those, we're doing that update, and then it will come to you every time you go to the next match. It's going to go and fetch the world high score. So you'll pick up the change as soon as you switch to a next match. And your event high scores, of course, are adjusting every match. So it's going to take care of that. And then these numbers do show up in the bottom of the announce and the play-by-play for the high score. So it's the highest scoring in the quals will be this one right here, including penalties. And then for each team, it will be their highest scoring match that they show up. The last screen here that is important is our awards. Now, it's simply the list of all the teams in the event. That's all it is. When a team's number is called, tap the number, and now you have the information for the award. So they'll be, let's say they've won the entrepreneurship. Sorry, what do they call it now? It's not called that anymore. Sustainability Award. So, and the winner of the Sustainability Award, Team 811. And you say, Team 811 Wild Cards is from Bishop Girton High School in Nashua, New Hampshire. Founded in 2002, if you want to say the next line. So 22nd season competing with first. Congratulations. And that's it. There's nothing else to do. Just congratulations. They're done. They will get their awards. They'll walk off, and then they'll start up with the next one. So now it's going to be 11:53. So here, 11:53, tap it. 11:53, Timberwolves, Walpole High School in Walpole, Massachusetts. 21st season competing with first. Thanks very much. So you'll hear this script. If you listen to awards live, you'll hear this over and over again, this particular pattern. But that's where this is coming from. It makes it quite consistent. That's all there is to do with awards. And that's it. Practice event phase 4 is simply the completed event. So it will show, if you go over to the schedule right now, you can see that it's not quite complete. We have teams staged into matches that haven't played yet because they've won matches prior. If you look in the, the playoffs bracket, you can see that here we have teams staged all the way out to round 4. But we don't know yet who's going to be in match 12 in round 4 because this match has to play in order to fill up this bracket. And then this match has to play in order to fill up this bracket down here. And then this one has to be there. And right, so all that has to happen in order to fill in the brackets to get up there. Now, if we go and we pick practice event phase 4, that will then bring in the final results here. So our playoffs are showing us the ending position. This is the week 0 event, by the way. So you can see how folks moved through and they move up and down. In this case, Alliance 2 beat Alliance 1, and they ended up in the playoffs. Alliance 1 moved down into the lower bracket where they lost to Alliance 7, and so Alliance 7 ended up in the playoffs. Blair was talking about his call, or on his call, about how Alliance 8, which they lost in the first round, probably would have lost in the second match if they had done our traditional playoffs. They would have lost that second match, and then they would have been out. But instead, they go down into the bracket, they win, and they win. So they played 4 matches in the playoffs, where they might only have played 2 under the prior system. So we think that this is a better way to get more teams more time on the field, particularly in the lower, like that lower numbered alliance. It's not a bad thing to be Alliance 8 anymore, because you're going to get down into the lower bracket and you might find some surprises down there, which is cool. And the fact that Alliance 7 lost, right? They lost in the first round and they ended up in the playoffs, in the finals, which is awesome. So, and in fact, if you look at this result here, Alliance
revisited
7. Well, you know, it's interesting because Alliance 7, they won the first one decisively. The second match, the Blue Alliance got a tech foul for being late. So we had our first call on that rule, which is a new rule. And it's intended to ensure that teams show up. In the past, there's been inconsistent treatment for teams that are late to a match. Sometimes the gates will close and there's nobody there, and sometimes, you know, they'll wait for 10 minutes waiting for the team. And now we have a consistent behavior, which is if you're late and you are causing the match to be delayed, you're going to get a 12-point foul. Look at that tie. So if Blue Alliance hadn't given 12 points to the Red Alliance, they would have gone home with the trophy. But instead, they ended up in the situation where they tied the match and had to go to the third match where Red Alliance won, and then Red Alliance won again. So they could have won it if they had been on time. That's how the cookie crumbled, as they say, right? This does support up to 5 playoff finals matches. First does, in the rules, it will allow 5. In the 5th, it will go to tiebreakers to figure out who won the match. And then if we get through the 3 tiebreaker levels, then they'll toss a coin and figure out who won. If you have ties during the course of the playoffs, they will show up in green. So there'll be green dots under both. But the winner will have, next to their name, it will say wins on level 2. So it will tell you what level of the tiebreaker they won the match on. So there's no replays in the double elimination section. There are ties over there in the finals. That's how that works. As other people have noted, in between the rounds, there will be awards presented, which is great. So we're using up the time in between the rounds. There's a 15-minute break in here somewhere. There's some other longer 8-minute breaks in there. And they're designed to make it so that we can get through award ceremonies and end up going home without having an hour and a half of awards at the end of the day. So that's good. So that's the first game announcer tool. Do not be afraid of it. Please come and use it. Do use these practice matches or these practice events that we've set up for you. To review that, event phase 1 is an event that's halfway through the quals. So we're not at alliance selection yet. The schedule is halfway done. So there's things that are about to happen and things that haven't happened. In phase 2, we have completed the quals and therefore alliance selection is ready. You just saw that turn green, so alliance selection is ready. In number 3, we are in the playoffs. So if you go and this turns to playoffs, you can see we're halfway through the playoffs, and then number 4, it's all done. So do use that as practice. Obviously, it's not the teams where you are unless you happen to be in New England. Let's see. Also on the teams table, if you want to practice with making adjustments, we had given you some guidance. Use these 999 teams down at the bottom. That way you won't be affecting an actual team, like a live team. So you can tap on a number, you can make changes, save them. It won't matter, right? I just saved it locally, right? If I want to post it to gatool cloud. I think if you go to an event, an off-season event now, in the older tool, you would see dry floor there. Just reset the visit time and close. So that's what we got. Hopefully this will help you out. Anybody working week 1? I know I'll be out week 1. I'll be working week 1, that is. I'm gonna stop sharing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody here knows. It's just something I'm concerned about. I'm working a week 2 event. And I'm using my iPad for the first time.
Sweet.
And so, I mean, do they have Wi-Fi there that I can connect to, or is that something that I have to work with the event people or the FTA or whatever about?
According to Blair, the FTA has been given the instructions that you are to have access to the field Wi-Fi system. Now, obviously, that is up to the FTA and their discretion as to what they will and won't do. They usually will provide, I've never not had this, by the way, they usually will provide an Ethernet wire if you ask. So if you have an iPad, which you say you do, you can get
looking at it right
a little Wi-Fi dongle, or not a Wi-Fi, but this is a wired one that will plug into the bottom of the iPad. I've got a couple of these from different formats. So this is for, I guess it's for my computer, but I have them that plug into, well, I'm losing my light. I know I have a couple of these that are a lightning for my old iPad. And then I've got another one that's USB-C for the new iPad. And this, I shouldn't say new, it's a couple of years old. This one here, which is one of the iPad Pros, is this guy is almost perfect. It's a little heavy for this game, like for doing this.
Yeah.
But this one happens to have a I'll turn it on here. Come on. gatool fits perfectly on the screen. It's great. I put some tape on the back so it doesn't fall out of my hands because this thing is slippery, you know. And the keyboard, strongly recommend their keyboard because you can hook it up and then do a pit walk and just plunk this down at the pit and type on it and move on to the next one. This particular device that I have has a data plan, and I'll turn it on for the first season and then turn it off at the end of the first season. That's pretty much how I do it. So that way I'm not dependent upon the Wi-Fi. But what you can do is you can load up the event where you do have a network connection, right? Plug in the wire, load up everything, unplug the wire. Now it's going to say you're offline. That's okay. In fact, I'll simulate that here now. Put it into airplane mode. It now has gone offline. So it knows, it's telling me at the top of the screen, hey, you're offline. You can still do stuff like visit the teams and fill in information. You can still do that, no problem. But you can't get updated scores and so on. So when you're offline, you'll get that warning on the setup screen, and otherwise it'll just go. So what I have done in places where they won't give me network is I'll plug into the wire, I'll get my updates in between matches, and then I'll go and call the match because there's usually a couple of minutes in between. Right? So that works. But if you can get friendly with your with your FTA to make sure that you can get access to the field Wi-Fi, that would be great because that's not going to be as awful as the event Wi-Fi, assuming that the event or the school has a Wi-Fi that's public.
I don't think that'd be
they do not want you bringing a like a MiFi with you. They don't want that.
Hotspots and stuff like that.
Well, if you have a personal hotspot from your phone, I've used that before as well. That's effective. You just need to make sure that it's not visible to other like to other people. So if you've got a phone, if you got an iPhone and you got an iPad, and they can know that they're there and they can share their connection without actually public, like being public about it. They can do that quietly. So yeah. That's our biggest challenge with this is that you've got to have a network connection somehow to be able to get updated information from time to time, if not in real time. All right, what else do we know? Any questions, other questions I can answer? This in here. You have anybody left? Oh, we got a few people left. That's good. And Paul joined. Paul, hey, welcome. I didn't see you arrive, but I did see you start asking questions. So good deal.
Yeah, I had technical difficulty starting. There was a lot of yelling the first 10 minutes, trying to figure out.
Oh no!
The meeting.
Oh, and looks like we just lost John. So John is just left. So it's okay. I'll see him again.
But hey, just want to say it's been a few, obviously. It looks to me like gatool is really, it's taken a big leap. It really looks great. So thank you for all the work you've done on it.
This year we gave it some serious new technology love. So, well, new to me anyway.
Yeah.
It's gotten a complete rewrite top to bottom. I still find things. In fact, on this call, I discovered that our rank highlighting isn't working. So I got to go figure out why that's not working. I'll take care of that before Friday. So
very cool.
If you see anything that doesn't work, or if you see things that you think should work differently, let us know. There's that form that's in the bottom of all the emails. Just go ahead and send us a note. That's the best thing to do. And we try to be super responsive to those. And like I said, we were working with the guys in Israel today and yesterday as they were letting us know about things that weren't working, and we were fixing them in real time and getting them back to them immediately. So they were able to finish strong, which is awesome. All right, well, it's late. I'm going to let you all go. Thank you very much. Again, join Blair's call. So he's got one that's going to show up after week 1. So this time next week, please do go to that, because we'll have a roundup from around the league and see what people are thinking about the game, and what they're thinking about how we're doing the MC game announcer role in those events. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you in real life one of these days too. If you're at First Champs in Houston, I'll be there. So come with your team, come work, whatever. We'll be there. Come and say hi. All right. Cool deal. So have a great rest of the evening. Thanks so much for coming out. I'm going to stop the recording now. Yes.